This is Sarah Wilkinson from Humber College and the University of Guelph-Humber. In this second video on the nervous system, I'm going to talk about its organization. In a previous video, I've talked about the electrical chemical gradient. This time, I'm going to talk about how the nervous system is organized. I'm going to then move on to a neuron anatomy, action potentials, and the synapse. We can think about there being three main functions of the nervous system. The first one is that neurons, or nerve cells, send information to a central processing area. We call the nerves that are part of this division the afferent division, so sensory or afferent. You can think about afferent going in. A is always first. When information is received, it has to be processed in some way. And that's going to be the responsibility of the brain and the spinal cord. Finally, some information has to be sent out through the motor or efferent division. So A comes before E. Sensory neurons send information to the central nervous system. The central nervous system processes it, and then information is sent along the neurons so that some action occurs. So let's do an example. Imagine you're in a dark room where there's absolutely no light. Your pupils dilate to allow as much light in as possible. All of a sudden, a light bulb goes on. That will be detected by neurons in the afferent division. It'll detect extra light in the room. That information is sent down those neurons, processed in the central nervous system, and your eyeballs are going to get smaller. So let's summarize what we've just talked about. The sensory afferent division detects there's an increase in light, so neurons coming from your eyes send signals to the central nervous system. That's processed, and a signal is sent out through the motor division to muscles in the eyes so that your pupils get smaller. So what we're talking about here is the two major divisions of the nervous system. The peripheral nervous system is responsible for sending signals to the central nervous system, which includes your brain and your spinal cord, and then signals are sent out through the efferent division. So your sensory receptors are responsible for detecting change in the internal or external environment. Somatic sensory receptors provide information about things you're touching, pressure, pain, and temperature. Visceral sensory receptors send information about your internal organs. And finally, special sensory receptors are going to provide sensations such as smell, vision, balance, and hearing. All of these receptors are all operating to send information to your central nervous system. Effectors in your motor division are target organs that change in response to neural commands. As an example, let's say your sensory division detected hot that you were touching if you were touching the stove burner. That impulse is going to be sent very, very quickly to your central nervous system, and then there's an impulse that's going to be sent very, very quickly away to your hand muscle to move it away from the hot stove. The motor division can be further subdivided into two divisions. Number one, the somatic nervous system, and this is responsible for any voluntary movement. So you choosing to click your mouse, you choosing to lift your grocery bag is controlled by your somatic nervous system. So that's mostly your skeletal muscle. The autonomic nervous system is what you're not thinking about. You're not currently thinking about making your heart beat. You're not currently thinking about breathing. It's automatically happening. The autonomic nervous system can be further subdivided. The sympathetic division speeds up. The parasympathetic slows down. As an example, if you saw a bear, the sympathetic division of the autonomic nervous system would be stimulated. What this would do would be to increase your breathing rate, increase your heart rate, send all the blood to your skeletal muscles. In contrast, if you're in yoga class and doing some lying down on the floor at the end, the parasympathetic division of your autonomic system is stimulated. It's stimulated to bring your heart rate back down to resting levels, to bring your breathing rate back down to resting levels. So in summary, we have two main divisions of your nervous system. The peripheral nervous system sends input in and receives output from the central nervous system, which includes your brain and spinal cord. The central nervous system is responsible for processing. The efferent division of the nervous system can be further subdivided into the autonomic, which we can think about as automatic, and the somatic, which is your voluntary. The autonomic nervous system can be subdivided into things that speed up response, the sympathetic division, and things that slow down, the parasympathetic division. In our next video, I'm going to go over the anatomy of a neuron.